Bonjour. So many of you are messaging me regarding the topic La Shikti Vela Prono Demonstrative, that you're finding this topic difficult for class 10th, and maybe you've understood the rules, but when you start practicing the question, it gets difficult to understand where to write which pronoun. So in today's video, I'm going to cover this topic that will help you to understand in which sentence which pronoun needs to come and what are the points that you need to keep in mind while attempting the question of La Shikti Vela Prono Demonstrative. So let's quickly get started with today's video. There's a question that I've taken here, and side by side, I'm also going to revise all the rules, okay? So first part, le père de dash garçon est journaliste et dash de son ami est professeur, okay? So after the blank, whenever there is a noun, all you need to remember is when you talk about the noun for the first time, you're going to write the adjectives, okay? So for garçon, what can we write? So, très bien. Le père de ce garçon est journaliste et dash de son ami. Okay, and dash of his friend. So, dash of his friend, first time we have already spoken about. We've already spoken about the father. Okay, the father of this boy is journalist and dash of his friend. Okay, father of his friend is professor. Okay, so we're talking about father. So in the next blank, we're going to write c'est lui. There is no direction that's going to come si and la because after the blank, there was a preposition which is de. So when the preposition is there after the blank or pronom relatif, simple, we're not going to write any directions, okay? Let's move on to the second part. Dash robe a plus cher que dash. So first time when you talk about adjectives, you're going to write the demonstrative adjective one. When you talk about the noun for the first time, I'm sorry. Okay, so robe is feminine. So that is why our answer is C-double-T-E. Cette robe est plus chère que... Robe is feminine, so celle-là. Whenever the sentence ends with a blank, always you need to write la. Okay? Always remember that. Let's continue with the third sentence. Il y a deux sortes de chaises dans le magasin. There are two kinds of chair in the shop. Dash est en bois et dash est en plastique. Okay? So there are two kinds of chair. This one here, whenever we are comparing, whenever there is comparison, in the first blank, you're always going to use C, and the next blank, you're always going to use la. Okay, so this one here, talking about chair, so celle-ci est en bois et celle-là est en plastique. Okay, sometimes it can also happen that the verb given after the blank is plural. For example, if the sentence would have been Il y a deux sortes de chaises dans le magasin, dash sont en bois. A dash sont en plastique. So if SONT is given, you cannot write the singular pronouns. In that case, you will have to write the plural pronouns. Okay, so keep that in mind. But if EST is there and two number is there, so in that case, you have to write the sentences in singular form. Okay, shares is feminine. That is why I've used the feminine version. Let's move on to the next one. Le bureau du directeur est dans dash rue. Okay, talking about the office. The office of the director is in dash rue. Okay, cette rue. So that's our first blank. A dash du ministre. Okay, dash du ministre means we're talking about the office. C'est lui du ministre. Again, no directions because du is there. Du ministre dans la rue Balzac. Okay, so we're talking about the office. Prawn dash pantalon. So pantalon, you're talking about the noun for the first time. So demonstrative adjectives. Say. Prawn say pantalon. Pa dash. Pantalon is masculine plural. So se la. Okay, se la. La mère dit à son fils. Okay. Let's move on to the sixth sentence. Dash vacances était plus belle que dash de l'année dernière. So when you talk about the noun for the first time, by this time now, you know, I've already repeated many times. When you talk about the noun for the first time, you're going to write demonstrative adjectives. So say, Ces vacances étaient plus belles que vacances. You're talking about vacances. So celle de l'année dernière. Okay. Next point is very, very important. The seventh point. Okay. The seventh part. If you see my seventh part, je veux goûter dash, pas dash. In my seventh part, there is no noun. We don't know what are we talking about. Je veux goûter dash. I want to taste dash, not dash. So whenever the noun is not mentioned, in that case, we are going to write neutral pronouns. What are neutral pronouns? Neutral pronouns we use when the noun is not there in the sentence. Okay, so for the first part of the sentence, the answer is going to be ceci because two blanks are there. So I'm going to taste this, not that. Okay, pasella. So when two blanks are there, in the first one ceci, next one cella. Melissa prend ses lunettes. Elle laisse dash là pour sa sœur. So you're talking about lunettes, so here it will be cell. Okay. Let's move on to the ninth sentence. Nous avons visité ce musée. In this question, something that is very important is exceptions. You should know whether musée is masculine or feminine, maison is masculine or feminine. It's very important, okay, to know the exceptions, to know the nouns that are there in exceptions, okay. Nous avons visité ce musée because if one blank is wrong, the other one is also going to be wrong. Ce musée, nous allons visiter dash de Paris bientôt. So musée is masculine, that's why we're going to write celui here. Moving on to the last part, dash station de radio à demi émission. Whenever the noun ends with IUN, it is always feminine in French, okay? So it becomes cette station. Cette station de radio a de meilleure émission que celle-ci. Sometimes it can happen that the sentence already has C there. So you just write your pronoun. Otherwise, the rule says whenever the sentence ends with a blank, we are always going to write la. Okay, so what's the rule? If the sentence ends with a blank, you will always write la. If there is comparison in the first blank, C is going to come, and in the next blank, la is going to come. If there are neutral pronouns, in the first blank, you're going to write ceci, in the next blank, you're going to write cella. Sometimes, let me just give you one last example. Sometimes it will happen that neutral pronouns are there and only one blank is there. For example, this, don't eat dash. So sentence is ending with a blank. In that case, you will only write cella. Okay, ceci will not come. Ceci will only come when two blanks are there. So if only one blank is there, we're going to write cella. Okay. Keep practicing. If you have any doubt, put it down in the comments below. If you want me to make video on any particular topic, please feel free to mention it down in the comments below and I'll be more than happy to help. Au revoir. Take care.